The humanitarian situation in Gaza is worsening by the hour. Over 11,000 civilians are now estimated to have been killed in Israel's offensive, with attention now focused on the country's main hospital, Shifa. Now, the World Health Organization is saying that hospital is becoming a cemetery because there's no power to run incubators or ventilators. Meanwhile, Israel says a female soldier who was taken captive by Hamas during the October 7 attacks has died. Let's get the perspective now from within Israel. I'm joined by our correspondent, Sarah Coates, in Tel Aviv. Sarah, thanks so much for joining us. Let's just start with the latest news, which is about this hostage who we now know has died. What do you know about her?
Well, look, we know she's a 19-year-old. She was based down in the south at an observation post. This is when she was captured, held in the Gaza Strip for 39 days alongside these other 140 or so captives. Now, this video was released by Hamas last night showing this woman saying her name, saying her age, which battalion she was from, and also her ID number, and then cutting to this horrific video showing her dead body. Now, the Israeli military came out a little earlier today to say that this is in fact true. They said she's now classified as a fallen soldier. Her parents have been informed. But look, this is just putting so much pressure on the Israeli government. You can just imagine how these 240 other families are feeling, and they've just staged a 5-day march today. It just started here in Tel Aviv a number of hours ago. These families of these people being held in the Gaza Strip are now marching for 5 days all the way to Jerusalem. They say they're going to stage a protest outside the Prime Minister's office. They say they will scream and yell at him, demanding more action, saying they want these people home. Now, just briefly on this situation, we do understand that a deal is in the works right now. Qatar is mediating between Israel and Hamas. It would potentially require a 5-day ceasefire. But this is something that Israel has been saying that it will not agree to. Now, it says it wants this 5-day ceasefire with 70 or so of these hostages released, while female prisoners would be released from Israeli prisons. And it also says, Hamas, that it wants unlimited aid, including petrol, into the Gaza Strip.
So, you know, the situation in Gaza is just horrific. I mean, the stories that we're hearing from the Shifa hospital, you know, babies are dying, there is no power. The Israeli Defense Force, the Israeli government, though, has come out and said, we have proof that Hamas headquarters is situated directly underneath that hospital in the tunnels. Hamas has denied that. We also know that some doctors in that hospital say that's simply not possible. What exactly is the Israeli government saying about these tunnels and Hamas and where its headquarters are?
Well, look, it's widely known that there are tunnels that run right underneath the Gaza Strip. It's actually got a nickname known as the Metro, just due to the hundreds and hundreds of kilometres that go under the Strip. A lot of these tunnels are actually very advanced, enough to fit cars through. And the Israeli military has, over the last few days, released vision of what it says its fighters, soldiers going down into these tunnels. One of them was today released, Al-Rantisi Hospital. This is another major hospital in the Strip. One of the IDF spokespeople went down there, said he found a cache of weapons, also information that shows hostages were being kept there. And look, this is why we're potentially seeing this huge build-up of troops around Al-Shifa Hospital, because Israel says it does potentially have evidence that suggests, given this Al-Rantisi evidence, what it showed up, that says that potentially hostages may be kept underneath there. Now, Israel also says that Hamas uses these tunnels under Al-Shifa as a command centre. So, look, this is why we are seeing such a shocking situation there. We're seeing these horrific images of these little premature babies who are being taken out of their incubators, taken off their breathing machines, and the optics are absolutely horrendous. Now, a phone conversation was released a little earlier today of an IDF liaison officer speaking to the director of Al-Shifa Hospital. Israel is now pledging to bring in 37 incubators, 4 breathing machines and other critical medicine into that hospital. But we do know that it won't hit the ground until it is safe to do so. So look, the situation, as people on the ground say, is absolutely unbearable, while the World Health Organization says the situation at Shifa, it says it is about to turn into a mass grave.
It's utterly awful. You spoke about hopes that there's going to be a 5-day ceasefire negotiated by Qatar, brokered by Qatar. I mean, that can't come a moment too soon. I want to just go back to the Israeli families who are demanding more action from government to get their loved ones released from this hostage situation. Are they putting pressure on the government to declare a ceasefire as well?
So much pressure. Look, they are absolutely fed up. The people that I've spoken to are just furious. They say that they've barely been contacted in this 39 days since their loved ones have been held in the Gaza Strip. They're also demanding more action from the International Red Cross, that it do something. We need to remember that there are people, these hostages, who have underlying medical conditions. There are people that have breast cancer and other ailments that need to be treated on a regular basis. And there was also word coming in last night that one woman who's being held inside the Strip, she was actually due to give birth around this time. So there is a lot of speculation that she has now done so in captivity. So look, there's so much pressure being put on the Israeli government. We heard one of the members of Israel's war cabinet, Benny Gantz, he came out a little earlier this evening to say even if there is a ceasefire to release our hostages, there will be a continuation of war. So look, Israel really remaining firm with its goal, let's say, of wiping out Hamas. But these families of these people in the Strip are demanding more from the government, saying it has simply not done enough to bring their loved ones home.
Yeah, agreeing to a ceasefire is one thing. It's whether it will hold, because, you know, you were just saying to me before we went to air that rockets coming over from Gaza continue towards Tel Aviv. And also yesterday we know that there was a rocket strike from Hezbollah in southern Lebanon into northern Israel. Talk to me about what Israel is still facing at this stage, and how difficult it might be. You know, how broad-ranging might a ceasefire have to be to actually hold?
Well, look, it's facing a potential opening up of a number of different fronts here. Since this all kicked off 39 days ago, there have been escalating threats on Israel's northern border with Lebanon. Hezbollah has been upping its ante every single day this weekend. The one that just passed saw the deadliest weekend since all of this began. There are continued cross-border skirmishes, anti-tank missiles, other things flown over from southern Lebanon at Israeli towns, also at Israeli military observation posts. And one man did die from his wounds over the weekend. This was a man who was actually fixing electrical infrastructure. So Israel is now vowing to react more heavily to that threat on the northern border. It says any fire will be met with harsher fire. But look, we do need to remember that there are also threats from other regions. The Houthis in Yemen said today that they are on the lookout for Israeli boats in the Red Sea. And this comes after they've already launched a number of ballistic missiles and also drones at the southernmost city of Eilat. A number of those have been intercepted. But look, one of them reportedly hit a school. So there are threats coming from right around the region, and also in the West Bank. Israel continues to raid a number of refugee camps in the West Bank, really causing tensions to flare there. So there is a lot of concern that actually this part of the region could turn into a second or potentially a third front. And just lastly, we do need to remember that all of these groups like the Houthis and like Hezbollah, they are all backed by Iran. They are all very widely believed to have very sophisticated weapons that could overwhelm any Israeli defence systems, air defence systems. This is why we are seeing all of this protection from the United States, like these 2 aircraft carrier squadrons sitting in the eastern Mediterranean, and also this nuclear-powered submarine.
All right, thank you very much for that update. Potential hopeful news that a 5-day ceasefire could be on the point of being agreed. Let's hope so. That's our correspondent in Tel Aviv, Sarah Coates. Stay with us. We've got